Well, I'm starting this video off today just showing you some of where I'm filming it at, because I'm going to be spending a lot of time on this talking today. But just wanted to show you where I'm at here, how nice it looks in here. The leaves are changed in here. Let me see if I can zoom in on some of the trees over there, and you can see right there in that area. Get in a little closer. See, they're kind of orange and yellow right there. And let's see these here. Those have a more of a reddish look to them. Some of them are still green, and then you've got some that are like over here. These trees over here are still green. These are, I think, look to be more where I'm standing here right above me, more of an orange, yellowish type look. Over there you can see the breeze is blowing. You can see some leaves falling. And if we come down to the ground, you can see many leaves already on the ground. Some of them have already they're brown already, and you can crunch them, and some of them haven't quite got there yet, but obviously will soon. And then of course right here, here's a stream, a lot of the leaves falling in it even. There's one right there. I don't know if I caught that one or not. There's one. There we go. There it goes. I can see them a lot better. I can't always point the camera in the right area, but there's a lot of them out here, and so this is very enjoyable, just being out here and being able to witness this. And today is a good day. It's been kind of warm the past few days, but it's very cool out today. So that's a good feeling. And I'm here in the shade anyway, so it's even shadier. There's the sun up there. It's not too cloudy out. Yeah, look up here. See the wind blowing. See the trees moving around there a bit. I'm glad to be able to get out to see a good bit of this before all the leaves change. It'll be winter soon. The leaves will all be falling off, so it's good to get out and film a good bit of this, and maybe I can get out and film some more of it just to have it before it all does change. Yeah, right in there, those leaves are all yellowish. Those are all kind of orange. You probably hear a truck going through there. So at any rate, I'm talking about all that. I'm just sort of showing you this. And it's just very peaceful right through here. Just letting everybody, I don't know how well it'll show up on the video, but video won't do justice to how nice it looks through here if you enjoy this sort of thing. So, but at any rate, I want to take the time now to I'm going to try to set this camera up here, so bear with me while I'm doing this. I don't exactly have the camera, my tripod or anything with me here. I'm actually using a couple of rocks on a bigger rock to set it on. The last one I did, I actually set on a tree limb. So if I look a little turned or something to you, or something doesn't exactly look right, it's just because I'm using nature here as opposed to something man-made to do this. I do want to zoom this just a little bit. Yeah, like that. Bringing in a little bit closer on me there. The sun has just gone behind the clouds, so it may go in and out, so you may see the sun shining on me or something. So if the camera video changes, that's why. But this is a good thing to look at, to come out here to talk about what I'm going to talk about here for the next few minutes. And I may do more than one video on this, and may even get into a little bit of the Bible study itself on this issue. And that is that when we talk about God, make sure I don't get my head cut off from the camera there. When we talk about God, one of the things, especially in the Western world, well, actually throughout all religions that I know about, when they talk about God in some way, you're going to in some way talk about creation, about the God being the creator. And they will, of course, have different ways of meaning that, but in the Western world, especially when people say they believe in God, they usually will mean, implied in that meaning, whatever else they mean by it, they mean God as a creator. Sometimes that's all they'll mean. I've mentioned before one of the views of God as being deism, and that's one thing that about all that deists do pretty much believe about God, is that He is the creator. He created all that we have, or all that is, and so forth. So, and so that's true amongst them. But amongst, I don't want to call them the Western religions. I say the Abrahamic religions: Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. All believe in God as a creator. So that's a very obviously an important point. Now, there's obviously, if you know anything about the various theologies on this, there are various different views on creation. And I'm not going to get into all of those right at this moment, but just to sort of outline a few of them, there's the questions get asked exactly about the earth and the universe and humanity and the animal and plant species and so forth, as to how old they are. Some people take a very literal reading, or what they deem at least a literal reading of Genesis in the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scripture, if you will, and date the earth at least, and perhaps the whole universe at around 10,000 years, give or take. In other words, they make it very young. Of course, the scientific consensus obviously is a lot different than that. Is that the earth and the universe are not thousands of years old, not millions, but even billions, and I suppose it's even trillions of years old now that they claim. I'm not sure what the whole number of that is, and so forth. But they definitely date the Earth a lot older than what, say, the more literal reading of Genesis is. So that's one of the questions that would come up: is is the age of the Earth and the age of the universe and the age of man as well. And obviously, when also playing into that would be the subject of evolution. Our species, have they evolved from what we, for lack of a better way of calling it, would be lower forms to higher forms? That there are, shall we say, the lower forms of animals, and then they, and because of the survival of the fittest and so forth, and things that happen in nature, they change over time, and adaptability and so forth, and all that gets into the subjects of evolution. At the moment, I'm not really wanting to discuss that. I'm just saying, obviously, we know those, those questions come into play whenever we talk about creation. But some of the important things to remember when we talk about creation is, number one, what I'm going to say, what I believe about this, because this is what we're talking about. I'm telling people what I believe, and I'm just going to sort of focus on those things. And what I believe is, number one, when we talk about creation, we're talking about something that was intentional. not accidental. Now the consensus of, I don't want to say the consensus, maybe that's not the best way to say it, but the view of what we commonly refer to as naturalism is that all that is here by accident. Now that doesn't mean it's haphazard. That doesn't mean there's not an order to it, because they say it follows natural laws, and the natural laws that happen, things can only be the way they are. They can only have happened exactly as we have them happen. Things can only be as we see them, but that there wasn't a design for them. In short, what I mean by saying an accident, let's say that you're walking through a house or something and you hit a table and you knock something off, knock a glass off, and it shatters on the floor or something. And you say, well, it was an accident. What you mean is you didn't intend for that to happen. That wasn't on your mind. You weren't trying to make that happen. You're not claiming that there aren't natural laws that explain why it happened. They can explain. You hit the table with so much force, and that sent the glass off into the floor, and the way it hit, and scientists could explain that. You're not saying there's not a natural reason, natural laws, scientific laws, as we say, to explain what happened. You're just saying that you did not intentionally do it. Well, that's the same way of saying in nature, to say things happen by accident is to say they happen by natural law, by the laws of science and so forth that take place or that exist, happen the way they happen. But science, nature and all is not a thinking, sensing entity. It didn't intend for this stuff to happen. It just did. That's just the way things are. But when we talk about God as creator, what we mean to say is that we are here by intent, or to use a word that's commonly used today, we are here by design. In other words, God intended us to be here. He designed the universe, the earth, what have you, so that we would be here and so that everything else would be here. In other words, and also to use the big P word, is purpose. There is a purpose for things being here. God had purposed it for these things to be here. So when we speak of God as creator, that's one of the things that we speak of in these, as I say, that I would say I believe, and others that would say this, is that this was intentional. Now it is worth noting in some ancient religions, when they spoke of creation, they did speak of the gods doing it, but sometimes it was accidental there too. They created sort of by mistake. They sort of did something, and the world came into being, and they didn't really intend for it to happen. Sometimes one god would kill another god, and that could, that's how the universe and the earth, the moon, the stars, and so forth were formed. That's the various stories you can see in some ancient myths as to how those things came into being. So sometimes you had that accidentally, but that's not obviously what you have in the narrative of creation. You may see it's like there's a yellow jacket there that was buzzing around the camera. You may have seen it buzzing in front of me there. But the contents of the book of Genesis and for that matter other religious books as well state that God intended to create us. This was not a byproduct of something else he was doing. He intended for man to be here. And he intended for the animals and the plants and the earth and the sun, the moon, the stars, and so forth to be here. They are here by design. So none of us are here by accident. That's one of the things that when we talk about creation that we mean. And another thing, when we focus on humans specifically, when we talk of God, when we talk of God as creator, we also mean that when we speak, and this is, very specifically within the biblical framework, is that mankind was created in the image of God. Mankind was special amongst all the rest of creation. That God has gifted mankind, he has put mankind over the works of his hands. the beasts of the field, the fowls of the air, the fish of the sea, the land, and so forth, that God has put man, if you will, in charge of it. And, as I say, man was created in God's image. Now, in all of creation, we can see, as it were, the handiwork of God. And sort of the idea is that we can look at creation, and it's the classic thing is of the watchmaker. You see, I've got a watch on, and that's one of the famous things. You find a watch laying around, you assume a watchmaker. You assume there was a designer, somebody that put it together, and that they did it intentionally. But you really don't know anything more about the watchmaker just from looking at the watch, other than that there was somebody that put together this watch. You don't know much else about it. But the idea, that's what you have through all of creation. But with man, it's a little more specific, because we have man created in the image of God. And we don't exactly know what all that means. A lot of theologians have looked at that over the years to mean different things. But I will just tell you some of the things that I would put on that as well, to say that to look as far as what I would say the image of God means is, one, that very thing, the idea of creativity itself, that we have a certain creative ability to be able to create things ourselves. Not the same way that God did, but we have a creativity in us. But also just that idea, we have rationality. We are able to rationally figure things out. We have emotion. We have consciousness. And all of these things, I would put as part of the image of God, that I would say the rest of creation, even the higher order of animals, do not have the way we do. They have found some animals that have a certain amount of reasonability, but it's very limited. And as far as consciousness as well, it's kind of, what scientists have discovered about them. It seems to be very limited there as well. But humans seem to be the most self-aware. We have the most in the way of emotion, and as far as rationality and so forth, we have all that, whereas the rest of the animal world, and to say nothing of the plant world and the non-living world, doesn't have that. So we reflect our Creator in that sense. But there's one other thing too that I think that, and again I'm getting off of creation here a little bit and talking just about humans, where humans are like their Creator, is that humans are eternal. Humans have an eternal soul. Now, it's not exactly eternal, because God is eternal. He has no beginning nor ending. But human beings do have a beginning, by the very fact that we were created. God is said to exist from everlasting to everlasting, but we just exist in one direction, and having no ending, is that we have an eternal soul. And the Bible does not tell us. Some people question, will there be, dogs and cats, their pets, will they be in heaven? I can't say no that they aren't, but the Bible doesn't tell us that. The Bible doesn't speak anything about redemption or the eternal life or immortality of animals in any way. But it does say it about humans. So that's one of the ways in which humans are the crowning work of God's creation. They were made in God's own image, whereas the rest of creation isn't. And one final thing I'll say just about the idea of God as Creator is it speaks that therefore of Him being I don't want to, in charge is correct, but that's not the word I want to use for it. That's not how I want to put it. It speaks of Him being over all of creation. He is, if you will, the king over all creation, to use that monarch language, that He is the king over all of creation. But I'll put it in an even better way. He's the owner of all of creation. And He's the one to whom all worship and the one to whom all obedience and all loyalty should belong by the very nature of what He is as the Creator. So we will talk more about, I'll probably talk some more about creation in some of the future videos that I'm going to make, and we'll learn some more about that. And when we get talking about, when I talk some about the about humanity, I'll talk a little bit more about that as well, and what that means. But that's just a little bit of an overview of that as far as the belief of God and God as the Creator, and as the one through whom all things exist, as we are told in other parts of the Bible as well. Well, I'll just show you a few more. Pick this up here. I'll show you a few more, little more video from this. Yep. Right there, that rock right there, those rocks were what I had the camera, was what I was using as my mount. This is some of the freshest air you'll get to breathe out here too. And like I said, right now it's very cool out here, so that's one of the things that makes it nice. Obviously, just the look around, the scenery of it, certain, lack of a better way of saying it, aesthetic value to it because of the beauty that's out here. Obviously, as I said, there's a health, the health thing, because you say you won't get any cleaner air than what you would get out here. There's a little bit closer look at some of those trees. Now right there, I don't know if you can see, that's the road right there. But it's nice in here. It's not kind of a secluded area. It's not, you're not surrounded by a lot of people. Even with the road up there, there's not a lot of cars that come by. See if I can focus in on my truck right there. Yeah, there it is. Where I parked at. There's a tree that's this is a maple. See the leaves changing here. Somebody's cut it off here, but still got some that are growing up around it. I hear some people have had a campfire here, but it's been a long time since they've had it. But people have had one here. Well, I'm going to shut it off here, and like I said, I'll probably be on the next few days talking some more about this, and hopefully get to come from some other areas. I just wanted to show this area today. And fall will not last forever, obviously. Eventually it'll be replaced by winter, and then we'll have a springtime coming with new leaves and everything out. But this way it can be, these colors, we won't have them forever. This can be captured forever, at least on film. Right there you got some pine trees stuck in the middle of this. So, as I say, I'll cut it off here. Hope everybody enjoyed the video and the discussion about God as Creator, and hope to see you again very soon on here. Hope everyone has a blessed day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.